Hello, hello. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Inglês no Cru Rádio. Again, I am here with the one, the only, Felipe. Felipe, what's up? How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. So this is part two of our conversation about online learning, online courses, online education, that kind of thing. So in the last episode, Felipe kind of gave his backstory with your background in learning things online. And now we kind of wanted to transition to how that's changed now that everyone's essentially living and working from home and online education is much more important. Does that sound cool to you?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Felipe, since you have been quarantined, how long have you been quarantined more or less now?
I think it's been, oh, I don't even know, probably 8, 10 weeks.
I've lost all track of time. Okay, have you been taking any online courses or learning new skills online during this crazy time?
Okay, first I thought, okay, I have a lot of time, so I can learn a lot of things. And that pressure was a little bit overwhelming. So I thought, okay, I have to choose two or three things that I want to learn. And now I think I'm learning German, as always, on and off. And a little bit of coding, like some very personal, very small projects.
Awesome. And naturally, you're learning a lot of stuff with the work that you do with us. That's always a constant learning process. Cool. So, from my end, I would say first I downloaded essentially every fitness app in the App Store and I learned more or less zero from all of them. And actually, the most important thing I learned is it does not matter how good a fitness app is. If you are still just like kind of a lazy, chubby person, it doesn't matter if you have a world class fitness app. And actually, the most effective fitness app for me was just an audio program that would run with me. So when I'm running, there's a person like in some music that's like, come on, keep like one foot after the other, like run proud, run strong, just like a motivational voice. So the only thing I've learned is less is more for me personally.
That's a great lesson, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you, you said you got a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of information. I think this is really common for most people. How do you deal with that? Or, like, personally, what have you done to combat that?
Okay, that's not only now, so it's been happening since I discovered the internet mainly because I see something cool and I want to learn. What I try to do is I try to think about the end of the year. If I look back, I can either be, well, not bad at coding, not bad at German, not bad at gardening, not bad at meditation, or I can be really good at one or two things. And then I try to choose and try to plan for the next years too. So, for example, this year I really wanted to learn German and photography, for example. That was my plan, photography and videography. But since I can't really leave the house right now, it becomes a little bit hard, right? Because you got to do it.
You're still taking selfies of yourself one day for a year.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, I could still keep watching videos about photography or even videography, but that's not fun. And we were talking about that earlier today. So I changed. Okay, German, I can still learn. I can still talk to people online. And what else can I learn? So I picked coding. And there's still a lot of other things I want to learn, but just I have to choose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you a few questions about coding because this is an area of interest for me. And I've always imagined at some point in my life, I would like take a year off and learn how to code and maybe do like some coding boot camps and work at a startup for a year just to have that skill set because I spend most of my day on the computer and I'm creating things digitally. It would be very useful to learn how to code. I think. What's your take on that? Would you recommend someone like me learning how to code, or would you just say that's too big of a project and there are a lot of awesome tools online to help you create content?
I think it depends on your personality because, yeah.
Well, you know me, so you can use me as an example.
Okay, so I think to be a great developer, you really need to like spending time alone because you need to get in the flow, coding for, 4, 6, 8 hours because everything has to make sense together. And for me personally, I don't like that. So when I'm taking these coding courses, I try to see like what I think I'm trying to get some perspective of all the things that I can build and I can put the pieces together. So I'm not going to be a great coder, but I know exactly what language I should use and what framework I should use for each project. For example, I don't have to be a great coder to create a frequency dictionary, and that can benefit me learning German, can benefit us with a lot of frequency dictionaries for our business. And I can find something pretty much ready online and I just have to tweak it a little bit and learn on top of that. So my recommendation is you really have to love building something that's going to take time because people, they watch movies, they watch TV shows and they think they're going to just like launch a startup, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time if you want to code everything from zero.
Yeah. You can also say from scratch.
From scratch. There you go.
Yeah. I think the smart answer for me would be I definitely do not need to learn how to code. I do enjoy spending long periods of time by myself, but you mentioned something that really stuck out to me. If you said something about you have to be in the flow, and I imagine you are referring to like actual flow states, like a lot of people online and entrepreneurs talk about this idea of being in a flow state, which essentially is like you don't notice time passing, like you're very engaged, you're very motivated, and all of your energy is focused into an activity that feels good and makes you feel alive.
Yep.
Is that correct? That's what you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. I love the idea of flow. So how do you see this idea of flow and what are some activities that give you that feeling?
I think for me personally, I like to see a little bit of accomplished by the end of the day. So with coding, sometimes it takes, I don't know, maybe 20 hours, 40 hours to build a page, right? And it's not even working yet. It's just a part of something bigger. And that it's something that I could learn and I think I should learn, especially, for example, with SEO. We've been talking about it. Sometimes you have to work a few days, even a few weeks to see some results. But for me, I think if I'm working on something, let's say an email sequence or an automation or a dashboard or something that I'll see a final product in a, let's say, a short period of time, I think it got in the flow pretty quickly. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So for you, being in a flow state has to do with not only the activity that you're doing, but also your expected outcome?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Do you have any like non-work related kind of flow activities?
I had a work example that no work. Okay. So
I can
used
give
to
you a non-work example if you want.
You give me one first.
Okay, so something I like talking about currently is the banjo. Surprise! Foster's learning how to play the banjo again. No, but playing music for me I kind of noticed this the other day. You said whenever I have an instrument, like I look happier and my eyes kind of light up. And that's because when I'm playing an instrument, it is like a challenge where, I start trying to learn something. It's really hard at the beginning and it gets easier and easier. But I think that does put me in some sort of a flow state in the sense that I don't have to think about other stuff when I'm doing that. Like when I'm doing a lot of activities, I will want to listen to a podcast or music in the background, or I get distracted. But I can sit down with an instrument for like 2 hours and just try to learn a song. And that's it. That's the only thing I'm concentrated on. And it doesn't feel like effort. Like it doesn't feel like, it's hard, but it's not like a pain in the ass,
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of the same, if we're talking about the same idea of flow, but I think we are.
No, I think we are, yeah.
Do you have anything like that in your life?
Yeah, I was trying to come up with an example, but everything is computer related. And if it's on my computer, I can somehow tweak it and make it into work or a personal project. But when I think about something that's not digital, I think longboarding for me is just like instruments for you. But it's a different reason though. So
Okay. First, do you want to explain what longboarding is?
Yeah, it's just like a skateboard, but longer. And you normally don't do a lot of tricks. You just go downhill normally, doing like slides, and it's supposed to be safer than skateboarding.
Still looks incredibly unsafe.
Yeah. And so I think, when I was a kid, I used to skateboard all the time. That was my go-to activity. And as I was growing older, I thought that was super dangerous. So I switched to longboarding, it can be safer. If you have proper equipment, it can be safer.
So you're wearing a helmet?
Yep, everything.
Knee pads?
Mm-hmm. And hand pads. So if you fall, you can actually,
Wow. Yeah, I just see kids on longboards like in my hometown, and they're just going down really big hills with no equipment. And I'm like, you crazy kids?
No, you need the equipment. But when you're going down...
Equipment is always singular in English.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Alexia always makes that mistake too. I remember when she was working at Porta dos Fundos, she'd always say, I'm getting some equipment for the set today. And I would always have to say equipment. So, yeah, Alexia and Felipe, it's just equipment.
Equipment, okay. So when you're going downhill,
perfect.
It's not that I'm enjoying so much that I can't think about anything else. It's that instead you're just like so focused on not falling and like, what can I do next? Because you're gaining velocity when you're going down.
Yeah, you can say that, or you're just going faster.
Yeah, and then you have to think about it constantly. So I remember when I had my first girlfriend and we broke up eventually, I used to go there so I would forget about the breakup. And it's not about like I love it so much that I wouldn't think about anything else. It's just like if I think about the breakup, I'm going to fall and I'm going to hurt myself. It's a different reason, but I think that's flow too.
I think that's a great point, and I've never really thought about it like this, but flow and focus are definitely interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I'm playing the banjo or guitar, I can like play around or something, but if I'm learning a new like picking pattern and I'm learning a new drill, like if I'm on the banjo just going like da 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 da, and I'm learning a new way to move my fingers, if I think about something else, I immediately start messing it up, and I'm like da 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 da. So when I have to focus 100% on that, and if I get out of that flow, I mess it up, so I have to go back in. So it's like 100% of my focus on that is on that task at hand. And if I take it off and I start thinking about like, I have a lot to do today, like I suffer from a lot of social anxiety. If those things start coming up, then it stops working. So, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I've never really thought about it like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you have any other? I don't remember how we got on the topic of flow states, but do you have any other comments or observations about that?
No, I think that's it. I think it's something that there is a lot of research about, and it's very hard to define, but it's really good when you think you have it or you are in the flow. I think it's a good feeling. After you leave, you're like, oh, that was good. It was like 3 hours of doing something without thinking about my problems or something bad.
Yeah. And there is a lot of science behind, like, you have these different brain wave states. And for me, that's not as important. Like you said, like, if you're kind of in the flow, you feel it, you feel good. And it doesn't matter if you're being super productive. You're just like, that was a good productive activity for me.
I don't know if it's like that for you too, but even if it's computer related or not computer related, after a few hours, I feel completely exhausted, and I feel good about it because it feels like I did something for a longer period of time, more intensely.
Yeah, I think it's similar just to like after you go to the gym or exercise and your body's tired, but you feel good. Like, I know I'm going to, I don't know, lose weight or be stronger. So you know that's going to be a beneficial thing for you in the long run. Feels really good. Cool.
Can you hear this?
I can hear that.
This is the first time I'm here. This is my third week. This is the first time I hear
it. Okay, so we have construction on Felipe's end, so I think that's a good place to stop. But we might jump in at some point at a later time and continue.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Felipe. We will end this part here. Maybe get back with some more online education talk soon. And we'll talk to you, either me, Felipe, or Alexia. One of us will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.